One person going missing? Tragic, but not impossible. 2, maybe they got lost. But an entire village, a full military regiment, 100 passengers on a moving train? That's something else entirely. Throughout history, there have been baffling cases where not just individuals, but entire groups vanish into thin air. No warnings, no trace, no answers. What happens when dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of people disappear at once? And why does it keep happening? Welcome back to Missing Persons Archives, where we explore the strange, chilling, and often unexplainable cases of real people who have vanished without a trace. These are not just stories, they're reminders of how fragile our presence really is. And today, we're stepping into a darker, more surreal chapter. The mystery of mass vanishings. From deserted towns to disappearing armies, this episode might just change the way you look at what's possible. We often talk about individual cases, singular stories of people who vanish under bizarre or unexplained circumstances. But what happens when it's not just one person, but dozens, hundreds, even thousands? Let's dive into some of the most chilling and unexplainable mass vanishings ever recorded. The Anjikuni village disappearance, 1930. Our first stop is the frozen wilderness of Canada in 1930. In November of that year, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle arrived at the Inuit village of Anjikuni, expecting to be greeted with the usual warmth and hospitality. He wasn't. The entire village, estimated at over 2,000 people, was silent, completely abandoned. Snow-covered huts were untouched. Fires still smoldered. Meals had been left half-eaten. Sled dogs were found dead, starved, and frozen. Even sacred graves had been emptied. There were no signs of struggle, no footprints, no evidence anyone had left the area. Villagers in nearby towns claimed they saw strange lights in the sky over Anjikuni the night Joe arrived. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigated. The mystery deepened, and to this day, no explanation has ever been found. The Lost Colony of Roanoke, 1587. Perhaps the most well-known mass disappearance in American history is Roanoke. In 1587, over 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Their leader, John White, returned to England for supplies but was delayed by war. When he finally came back in 1590, 3 years later, he found the colony completely abandoned. No bodies, no signs of violence. The houses had been carefully dismantled, not destroyed. The only clues? The word Croatoan carved into a post and CRO carved into a nearby tree. White believed the settlers had moved to nearby Hatteras Island, home of the Croatoan tribe. But bad weather and a mutinous crew prevented him from checking. He returned to England without ever knowing what happened to his family. To this day, no one knows for sure. The disappearance of Hoer Verde, 1923. In Brazil, a small village named Hoer Verde, with around 600 residents, was found completely abandoned in February of 1923. Visitors who arrived found homes empty, food left uneaten, and fires still smoldering. Just like in Anjikuni and Roanoke, everything appeared to have been left in a hurry. One strange detail, a message scrawled on a school blackboard that read, "There is no salvation." The only other clue? A single firearm that had been recently discharged. The Brazilian government investigated, but like the others, no one was ever found, and no official cause was ever determined. The Roman 9th Legion vanished in the 2nd century AD. Now let's travel back even further in time to 109 AD. The Roman 9th Legion, one of the most elite and fearsome military forces in the empire, marched into Scotland and was never seen again. All 5,000 men vanished without a trace. The Legion had defeated armies across Africa, Spain, and Britain, but after marching into the Scottish Highlands to suppress uprisings, they simply disappeared. No bodies, no battlefield, no final message. To this day, historians debate what happened. Were they wiped out by tribal warriors, assimilated into enemy ranks, or did something even stranger occur? Theories abound, but facts remain elusive. The vanishing of the Flannon Isles lighthouse keepers. In the biting chill of December 1900, a ship called the Hesperus approached the lonely Flannon Isles, a remote outcropping of rock off the western coast of Scotland. These were not islands of comfort or community, just wind-lashed stone and sea, home only to birds, waves, and a single lighthouse perched atop the largest isle, Eilean Moor. The crew of the Hesperus expected to be greeted by the station's 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. But when the ship arrived, the island was quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Relief keeper Joseph Moore was the first to go ashore. What he found was more than eerie. It was inexplicable. The lighthouse was intact. The beds were unmade. The kitchen table was set for a meal. Lamps were cleaned and filled. A clock had stopped. But not a single soul was there. One set of oilskins, weather gear required for going outside, was still hanging on its hook, meaning at least one of the men had stepped out in the brutal weather without protection. That was against every protocol and instinct. Further investigation revealed no signs of violence or disaster, only a few strange clues. At the western edge of the island, a steel rail had been bent, a supply box smashed, and a patch of grass torn back by some forceful event. A storm had raged days before, one of many in the treacherous waters surrounding the Flannons. Some believed the men had been swept out to sea by a rogue wave while attempting to secure equipment, but that explanation didn't sit right with everyone. Why would all 3 men have gone out together? Why was the scene inside the lighthouse so undisturbed? Rumors soon filled the void. Sea monsters, ghost ships, foul play, even supernatural forces. One popular theory suggested madness or infighting. Another hinted at something more cosmic, lights in the sky, whispers on the wind. A poem written years later by Wilfred Gibson imagined the keepers vanishing into the mist like phantoms, their fate sealed by something the sea had claimed long before. To this day, the disappearance of the Flannon Isles lighthouse keepers remains one of maritime history's most chilling mysteries. 3 men, no struggle, no trace, just an empty tower, a quiet meal never eaten, and the ceaseless crash of waves where voices once called out into the storm. The Yangtze Bridge Incident, 1937. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, Colonel Li Fu-Hsien of China stationed 3,000 soldiers to defend a key bridge over the Yangtze River. They were heavily armed, strategically placed, and ready for invasion. The next morning, they were gone. Their weapons were still there, guns loaded, equipment untouched. No signs of struggle, no tracks, and according to nearby sentries, no one passed through the area. All 3,000 soldiers had vanished overnight. How do thousands of trained men disappear without making a sound? No one has ever been able to answer that. The Vanishing Train, China, 1945. In 1945, a passenger train traveling from Guangdong to Shanghai mysteriously vanished, along with every person on board. There was no wreckage, no debris, no signs of derailment. Adding to the mystery, a small lake appeared near the tracks on the same day. Just appeared. That same year, a group of Soviet troops also vanished in the area. A fire was found, deliberately extinguished, but no other signs were left behind. Coincidence? Or something else entirely? How do mass vanishings happen? What's going on here? Mass vanishings aren't just the stuff of horror fiction or conspiracy theory. They're documented across centuries, cultures, and continents. And when entire groups of people disappear at once without signs of violence or escape, we're left grasping for explanations. Here are some of the theories that have been suggested. UFO abductions. Extraterrestrial intervention is a common theory, especially in cases with reports of strange lights in the sky. Time slips or dimensional portals. Could people be walking into other realities? Secret government experiments. Was there something going on behind the scenes? Natural phenomena. Sudden landslides, black holes, meteor strikes. Supernatural entities, from Proteus, as described in Dean Koontz's Phantoms, to ancient gods, some believe the answers lie far outside conventional science. Deliberate disappearances. In some cases, it's speculated that groups left willingly, though this doesn't explain the lack of evidence. In truth, none of these theories fully explain the bizarre details. The food left uneaten, the gear untouched, the trails that go nowhere, and the people who seem to vanish en masse into the void. Mass vanishings challenge everything we think we know about the natural world. One person going missing is heartbreaking, but when hundreds vanish all at once, it becomes almost incomprehensible. Are these the results of environmental disasters? Secret wars? Portals to another dimension? Or something we simply don't have the words for yet? Let us know what you think in the comments below. What's your theory? Which of these cases haunts you most? And as always, keep it respectful, curious, and open-minded. Thank you for watching Missing Persons Archives. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to keep these stories and the people behind them from being forgotten. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and never forget the missing.